there, Black Bear fans, and welcome to From the Den. I'm Allison Willette.
I'm Emily Bontadovas.
And I'm Drea Cachudalo.
We're so excited to be here tonight, and we want to welcome you all to your all-access pass to everything UMaine athletics. Coming to you live from the Den, we'll be breaking down all the must-see moments of this past week's matchups that have Black Bear Nation on its toes. What do you got for us tonight, Emily? I heard the men's hockey team was back in town.
Yes, they were, and the fans couldn't have been happier. Men's hockey returned to Orono with a unique Friday-Sunday series. The number 5 ranked Black Bears defeated the Northeastern Huskies 3-1 in the Friday matchup, with standout performances by Albin Boya, racking up a total of 20 saves, and Taylor McCarr scoring his 3rd game-winning goal of the year. The Sunday matinee against the UMass Minutemen ended in a 3-2 win and secured yet another weekend sweep for the Black Bears. What about the women, Drea?
Your Lady Black Bears took a road trip down south that ended in 2 overtime losses against Providence College and Holy Cross. The Friday matchup was a resilient 60-minute showing by the Black Bears that resulted in a 3-2 overtime loss against the Friars. The Saturday game featured a scoreless 3 periods, with the Black Bears falling short to the Crusaders after a power play goal in overtime. I heard there were a few border battle matchups this week, Allison.
Yes, there were, and it's always a rowdy time in Orono when the Wildcats come to town. But the Black Bears did their job against UNH with the men's and women's basketball teams, taking home a pair of wins this past Thursday. The women kept that momentum with a hard-fought home court win against the Vermont Catamounts on Saturday that saw a total of 7 lead changes. Up in Burlington, the men came up short against UVM with a narrow 6-point loss after being tied 49-49 with under a minute left. How about our fastest Black Bears? What are they up to?
Well, Allison, the men's and women's track teams are coming off an active weekend in Beantown after competing in the BU Terrier Classic. Although they recorded an overall loss, Cheyenne Figueroa put on a show with a first-place win in the weighted throw. Both teams are gearing up for a busy end of the season as they will be down in Boston for the next coming weekends. They are the only ones that are gearing up for some traveling, right, Drea?
That's right, Emily. They're not the only ones traveling. The men and women's swim and dive team will hop on a plane and make their way down to Lexington, Virginia for the America East Championships. They had the weekend off after an overall loss to Providence to gear up for the 4-day series coming up on February 19th.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about, and that's what we got for you today. From victories to upsets to hero stories, let's dive even further into UMaine's winter sports, live from the Den. Now to Drea with more men's and women's ice hockey highlights.
Bananas got a win delivered from the men's hockey team this past weekend for his birthday bash, when your Black Bears dominated Northeastern 3-1. Forward Taylor McCarr notched a pair of goals in the victory, with Owen Fowler scoring a goal of his own less than 2 minutes into the second period. Fan favorite Albin Boya made 20 saves in the game, making him the fastest Black Bear to record 25 career wins since Ben Bishop from 2005 to 2007. Josh Nadeau and Frank Jurasevich each had 2 assists respectively in a dominant win. The good times kept on rolling into Sunday as Maine won a thriller against UMass 3-2. By all accounts, this was an exciting matchup to wrap up the weekend. Both teams entered the second period tied, but Josh Nadeau put a goal in the back of the net in less than 3 minutes into the second period. Taylor McCarr notched his 10th goal of the season to give Maine the lead, and to secure the win, Boya made 12 saves in the final period. Speaking of Boya, he grabbed Hockey East Goaltender of the Week, and I'm sure you saw it as he was number 8 on SportsCenter's top 10 plays. But number 1 in our hearts here at the Den. The Black Bears will hope to keep this momentum up as they face off against Providence this Friday, February 7th, and Saturday, February 8th. Women's ice hockey finished up their second-to-last away weekend with a pair of draws to Providence and Holy Cross this past Friday and Saturday. Maine have won or drawn 9 of their last 11 through regulation after starting the season 3-14-1. Unfortunately, this weekend's draws came with only 1 point each in standings after the opposition found goals early in the overtime period. Some players to note from the games were fourth line's Haley Ryan, who found a second straightaway breakaway goal, and Sam Morrison, who netted one for a power play goal on Friday. On Saturday, freshman goaltender Kia Lattinen held a shutout in regulation time. Both contests were defensively oriented, as the first goal in Providence came during the second period and the first goal in Worcester came in overtime. Now let's move on to our men's basketball team, who have been on their best start in conference play in a decade. Isn't that right, Emily?
That's right, Drea. The men's basketball team finished off the University of New Hampshire Wildcats, winning 71-46 in the border battle last week. Burns was the high scorer of the game with 26 points, just 3 points away from surpassing his career high. As a team, Maine capitalized on New Hampshire's turnovers, scoring an additional 16 points from them. The Black Bears then traveled to Burlington on Saturday afternoon to face the University of Vermont Catamounts, losing their 6-game win streak 55-49. The Catamounts, with a conference record of 5-3, sit below the Black Bears in America East standings. Maine had their first lead of the game with 8 minutes left in the first half from A.J. Lopez's three-pointer, taking the lead 11-10. But the Catamounts gained a 5-point lead going into the halftime break. Jaden Clayton had 2 steals in the first, while Christopher Mantis drained 3 three-pointers for a first half game high of 9 points. Maine's average points per game of this season is 72. Vermont was able to hold them significantly under the total with their effective defense. The Black Bears were able to tie the game at 49 with 54 seconds left in the game off of Keon Burns' layup. But the Catamounts hit a three-pointer and some foul shots to take the win. Mantis was the lead scorer of the game with 12 points, while Burns was second with 11. The men's team plays their next 3 games at home, with one set up for this Thursday against New Jersey Institute of Technology at 6 p.m. in the Pit. The women's basketball team wrapped up the week with 2 decisive victories, propelling them into second place in the conference standings. On Thursday, January 30th, the Black Bears defeated the UNH Wildcats 65-54 in a commanding performance. Caroline Dotsey led the charge, putting up an impressive 30 points and showcasing her scoring ability. 2 days later, on Saturday, the team faced off against Vermont in a highly anticipated rematch of last year's conference championship. In a gritty defensive battle, the Black Bears emerged victorious, defeating the Catamounts 45-39. Asta Blanfelt and Sarah Talon both contributed 11 points each, leading the charge with ensuring Vermont headed home with a tough loss. The Black Bears will look to continue their strong play when they return to the court on Thursday, February 6th at 6 p.m. for an away game at NJIT. What about our final 2 winter sports, Allison? How are they looking?
They're looking great, Emily. And last but certainly not least, the men's and women's track team hit the road to Boston this past weekend to compete in the BU Terrier Classic, one of the most competitive meets in the Northeast. The women put on a show in the weighted throw with a standout performance by Cheyenne Figueroa as she finished first overall with a throw distance of 18.52 meters. Triple jump was also a successful event for the women, with senior Erica Lawson finishing 6th overall with a distance of 11.35 meters. The men showed dominance in both the long jump and the triple jump, as sophomore Luke Patterson took home a 4th place finish in the long jump with a distance of 6.92 meters. Sophomore Connor Morin took home another 4th place finish in the triple jump with a distance of 14.14 meters. The Black Bears also recorded a pair of 7th place finishes in both events thanks to freshman Will Rush. Both teams will face the triple threat of Harvard, BU, and BC next weekend as they make their way back down to Boston for their final weekend of competition before the America East Indoor Championships. The men's and women's swim and dive team will have the next couple of weeks off as they get ready to travel down to Virginia to compete in the long-awaited America East Championships. Coming off of an overall loss against the Providence College Friars, the Black Bears are hoping to capitalize on their 200-meter relay success and continue to rack up the number of individual wins. While at the Virginia Military Institute, the women will face off against the reigning champs as the Vermont Catamounts notched their first ever America East victory last season. The men will come up against the Binghamton Bearcats, who finished the 2024 season with their 2nd victory in 4 years. These teams, among others, will challenge the Black Bears in their final competition of the winter season. Well, that's all we have for you tonight, Black Bear fans. Thanks for spending some time with us. Now, looking ahead to our home contests, the men's basketball team will have a home court series this weekend as they take on the NJIT Highlanders on Thursday at 6 p.m. and the UMBC Retrievers on Saturday at 2 p.m. in the Pit. Women's ice hockey will also be back in the Alfond on Friday night to host the Northeastern Huskies at 6 p.m. And no excuses, guys. Student tickets are free with a valid main card. Show up and show out for your Black Bears as they continue to dominate the America East. And please don't forget to follow us on Instagram at @UMaine_FromTheDen for more highlights, behind-the-scenes content, and updates from the heart of Black Bear Nation. And be sure to tune in next week as we bring you more action, stories, and more from the Den.